Hi, I'm Erin Halvorsen with Rag Rugs by Erin, and I thank you for joining me today. This video is going to be a little different than some of my other videos. We're going to be talking more about technique than actually learning how to make the rug. I am going to give instruction, and you are going to see me actually doing it. But this is going to be an oval rug, and I'm not going to spend quite as much time on the construction of it and the mechanics of the general making of the rug. So I'll be moving along a little faster and working more on the technique. So if you are just a beginner, you will want to look to the bottom of the screen and go down into the description area, and there'll be a link there to show how to make an oval rag rug for a beginner. And also I probably will have a little white thing up in the corner that will come across your screen prompting you. If you want to watch that video, you can click on that as well. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about this these types of rugs. I'm seeing more chunky rugs in general, and I have a huge list of rugs that I'm going to make and projects that I'm making for you. I have hundreds of things that I have written down, and I slowly get to them one at a time of what I think is relevant at the time. So what I want to show you, there's 3 different rugs, and then I'm going to show you how to get this technique and why this technique might be advantageous to you and why you might like doing this. This rug that I'm going to be kind of working on, you can do it any thickness or whatnot, but they end up being about 1 inch thick when you're finished. This is actually a 2-ply rug. You could do 3, I suppose, but there's so many variations to what I'm going to teach you today that there's no, oh, I did this and I did that. That's wonderful. You guys are going to come up with all kinds of great ideas. I've kind of stayed with neutral colors as the underlying color, and dark color would be a great thing too. Some of the things that I focused on is one of the things is it didn't transition. You know how you either have to do a stair-step thing where you eliminate the stair-step. Some of you don't like that. I don't mind that personally myself when you go from one row to the other. But what I thought was really cool about this is that you almost can't see when one color, we're having a thunderstorm, so please excuse the noises that you're hearing. I live in Central Florida. We get a lot of those. You're going to see how you almost can't see where it transitions from one color to another. So because there's 2 colors going on at the same time, you can, it's like, well, where does one color start and one the end? Yes, you can hunt for it and find it, but you can see that if you look at this rug, you can't see very well where your eye is drawn to. There's a definite stop of one color. Another thing that I liked about using this is I had a lot of yarn that I wasn't too wild about, that was just kind of meh, in my opinion. It didn't do anything, so I kept on avoiding those yarns that I had made, or sheets that I've made, and you all will have them. You know, you can't find any sheets, or you got a package of sheets and some of them were less than wonderful or exciting, so you have these other sheets and you're not using them for one reason or another. This is a great way to incorporate and get rid of some of those things and yet still make it look to be quite a really nice rug. So here's this one, and you can kind of see how that one is. Here's a totally different look of, you know, I just had a little bit of some of these things. I had a little bit of this tan stripe, and I had a little bit of this green in here, and I had a little bit of this check, and I just kind of kept on adding. This sheet right here just didn't do anything for me. It wasn't very interesting, but when I added it with this orangish tone stripe in here, it really kind of gave it quite an interesting look. And I have this, I'm going to pull it out from over here. I have this sheet yarn. I had quite a bit of it. I'm not loving this sheet yarn. It's got a lot of white. It's not very interesting. It's got, you know, roses on it. I'm not a real flowery as far as this kind of thing. But this is in here. I've added it with this solid color that wasn't as exciting to me either. And you can see that it really gave quite a bit of interest to it. Okay, so I wanted to show you close up on these. Now, these 2 are finished. I used a 21mm hook, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But here, look at this. Totally changed it up. Totally changed the look of it. This yellow in here, this is an old sheet that's not very attractive, and then these little teeny pink flowers in this other one. And then I had odds and ends of some things, just barely stuff in here. And I just pulled them all out, and I put them in here together, and you can see it's quite an interesting rug when you add some other things. And I made the darker as you go on the outside, and I started with a little bit of dark, knowing I would kind of use that color again, but it's not quite as pronounced as some of the rugs that we've been making. Or maybe some of you are doing this already, and that's wonderful. But there's a lot of you that are not doing this, and I wanted to give you this option. So let me go ahead and jump right in and talk about my tools, and go ahead and get started with that so you can see how I did this. So I don't necessarily always make sheet yarn up ahead of time. Some people do and some people don't. I happen to have this done up, so I went ahead and balled it up, which is kind of a waste of time. I just get them cut and then I leave them in a different state that's a lot less aggravation. Look, I had this reddish color that was in a pillowcase. I had one pillowcase, that's all I had. But I thought, you know, red is a great little color to pop something. And I had some other odds and ends of materials, and you can see this. This is just an odds and ends of a little blue and white. Okay, so what I did is make sure you have a good set of scissors, good pair of scissors. You're going to need a tapestry needle. Let's see if it's there. Here's my tapestry. This is number 13 tapestry needle. I'm going to put it there so you can see it's got a big eye on it. It's got a blunt end here. You've seen these before if you watch my other videos. Don't bother wasting your money on a plastic one because they just break. At least I'm too rough on it. Maybe you're not. You're also going to need a crochet hook. And perhaps I don't know where my crochet hook is. I just had it here, but I bet I threw it on the ground over here. Okay, we'll be back with you in just a second when I can find my crochet hook. Ta-da! So, where it was actually put away. That's why I couldn't find it. It was in my crochet bag, which I sell these on my website too. But anyways, this is a 21 millimeter, and Lyle makes this. That's Mr. Cameraman, my husband. He makes these hooks. I have, this one's done in poplar, and it's a 21 millimeter, and he's designed these for me, and then because they work so well, and I don't know how readily available stuff like this is, that he started making them for the website as well. So the great thing about a 21 millimeter hook, and all my hooks are at least 8.5 inches long. It has a little bit of a point here, but not very much, because if you get too much of a point, I find that I'm pulling it too hard to get back. And having this 8.5 inches right here to have your hand on, I use the throat right here an awful lot to regulate my stitches. And with this rug in particular, I really did push that into it, because if not, it would get too tight and I couldn't get it through. So that's why I use these. You can check out, I have a lot of reclaimed hooks that are really slick and smooth too. I sell a lot of those, and I don't always have those available. So if you see something you like, you should probably snatch it up, because sometimes I never get that size again. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. This one, I'm going to guess, what is that, 1.5 inches? Yeah, about 1.5 inches. Some of my rugs I did 2 inches, so I'm going to use 2 ply here, and then I'm going to use this one that is not really very good sheet yarn at all. It's kind of mangy, to be honest with you, but it's the perfect thing to add to pop this blasé sheet. And I have a whole 2 sheets of this that I've been working around, so I'm going to go ahead and incorporate this because it's very neutral. And then I'm going to, when I rip these to make these strips, I made these anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch. The different, when I added to the second layer, you could do 2 of them the same size. It doesn't really matter if you want to do 2 1.5 inches. One of them I did 2 inch wide on the main strip, and then 1 inch wide or a little bit more on it. So you know, it's variable. You do what's good for you. But when I ripped this, it made it. See how it rolled up? Guess what? It'll be just fine. Some of you get really phobic. You write me these little messages, and you're all distressed about this. Oh, yours are perfect. My rugs were definitely not perfect. And you don't have a bunch of strings. My rugs have strings just like yours have strings. And some sheets are better than others. But please remember, if you take one of my classes, you'll hear me say it over and over. This is a rag rug. It's not a manufactured rug. It's made with your loving hands. And it is unique. So just enjoy the process if you can, and stop fretting so much. I think some of you really enjoy yourself, and some of you get all dilemmaed. And if it's a little bit loppy on one side, the next one will be a little bit better, so relax a little bit. Okay, now that I've done my little speech here. I'm going to leave, I'm going to guess, what is this, 18 inches to 24 inches, about 20 inches long. I'm going to go ahead and leave a nice long tail. So Mr. Cameraman, if you want to come in here so they can see what I'm doing. You're going to do your slip knot. Boy, my mind went blank. And you're going to cross over with the long end, 2-ply, and feed it through the hole. If you watch my beginner rug, I show you that a couple times on the beginner rug. I show you in every video so you can practice that a little bit more. Also, one of my latest videos, I'm doing a new technique on how to hide the tail. So we're going to go ahead and hide the tail. I used to have you, and if this is better for you, I used to have you hold the short end in your hand like this and then start your chain stitch. But in one of my previous videos, I showed you how to incorporate it all at the same time and not have to go back and hide it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But the trick is not to make this too tight, because you've got to get through the initial chain stitch more than once. I'm also enjoying making my rugs a little stouter and shorter and more full instead of as long. So we're only going to do about 6 or 8 stitches to start this off. So we're going to do a chain stitch. You're going to cross over. I see I'm holding that there so it doesn't slip. And then I'm going to pull this through. There's one chain stitch. And see here I'm using that throat. Cross over and pull it through. 2, 3. Okay, now see, I can't get all that. Don't worry about it. Just do what you can, and then at the very end you'll trim that out. 4, 5. See how I'm using that throat every time? 6, 7, 8. Okay. So this is right here, this little stub here is where the tail is, so don't fret about that. We'll get it at the very end. So we've got both of these colors running along here. This is how you were chain stitching. You're going to turn and come back on itself. And you're going to go into not the one that you're in, but the next hole. And go into this hole, and you're going to do your first single crochet. This whole rug will be done with single crochets. So you go into this hole. See how I regulated that? Pushed it down so I had enough room. Cross over and pull it through. You have 1, 2 on there. Again, regulated. Do you see that? Crossed it over and pulled them both through. When I teach classes, I see people choking up on it, and then by the time they get back into this chain by the second time, I'm having to go in there and help them because they're frustrated because it's so tight. Okay, so you're going to go into the next hole. And I did it loose, and see, I'm still pushing it in. You're going to grab both of them. Got 2 on there, cross over, and pull them both off. I do it more detailed on that beginner rug. The next hole is right there. I'm going to push in there, push it down, grab the material, pull both of them off. See, there's that tail, don't worry about it. Put it in, we've crossed over, grab the material, got both of them on there, cross over again and pull them both off. This is not near as detailed as the original, so I'm just going to move on and let you watch it there so I can get on to some of you people have been so wonderful and watch. I know you watch so many of my videos. Some of you say you watch all of them, so I want to move it along a little bit. You're just single crocheting the whole thing other than the initial chain stitch that you started with. You can, of course, start with any. Okay, here we're getting to the end. So here's your hole. Alright, you're going to go 3 times. One of the adjustments you're going to, into the same hole, single crochet, one of the adjustments you're going to have to make for this rug with so much material is, in a lot of instances, going around these arches, you're going to have to put in more times, more single crochets added to your arches in order to get around and keep it from cupping up. So there's one time. This is the second time in that same hole. And here's the third time. So you're going to have to do more stitches to get around this arch as you go, and I want to show you a little bit of that. So I'm going to just kind of tool along here, and you're going to come right back up, go into the holes, and do exactly what you did on that side. I want to show you on the other end and get through this one ball and how I add and how things progress and how the colors just start popping. I probably will stop periodically and move it along and then come back so you can watch. Something you have to be careful is that you don't lose one of these, which I do occasionally, drop one and then it's just sitting out there and I'm working single strand, or all of a sudden you run out of the second color. I have really enjoyed making this 2-ply rug. It's a totally different creation for me, which is really exciting. And the next rug I'm going to be showing you is the one that I had participation. I asked for participation and people sent in sheet yarn. And I'm going to show that as be my next video. I'm working on my second rug for that, so you'll get to see that. So here we are to the end here. So I'm going one time in here. Now, depending on your sheet yarn of how you're going to do this, okay, I'm going to go the second time into this hole. Usually I do 4 stitches, 2 here and then 2 in another spot. Sometimes I have to do 5 with this technique. So you're going to have to try to figure that out so it doesn't cup up. Okay, so here's my next hole. Let's see if 2 in here is going to be enough. See how that was kind of looking like a jelly bean almost. So it is going to work with this one. I did work another rug, one of those rugs. I had to do more stitches to come around this. So you may have to adapt. Okay, so I've made it around that. And we're just going to continue on up. I'm going to try to move along a little quicker so we can get this ball done. And I can show you and talk about that. See how I just had some odds and ends of colors that I added in there, and how it's going to change the look and just kind of pop a little color here and there. Makes it a real versatile kind of rug. Okay, so here we are. Only got a little bit left of this one. I have a lot of this unattractive sheet yarn here. So what we're going to talk about is I think maybe we need to pause and come back in just a moment, and I'll show you how I change this.